question of whether or not it's the right thing to push all students to college, or whether it's better for some people to attend a trade school like plumbing, electrical work, HVAC, which you can get a job that pays very, very well. But one of the things that it seems is happening is that there is...
Okay, hold on. Notice the total disbelief. For decades, the left has relied on forcing every kid into a 4-year degree program so they can be properly indoctrinated. But as they just reported, Trump and his education secretary are pushing real blue-collar skills instead. They want kids to learn how to build things and earn a living without massive debt. And the media treats that like a scandal. But wait until you hear how CNN tries to spin this next.
Kind of a push to start students on a track as early as elementary school. Mm-hmm. Is that too early?
I don't think so, because I think what we can do is look at students. What are their interests? How do we direct them down a pathway that they're going to have an interest, in school? And I believe that children need a well-rounded education, but I think we have focused too long for just that path to a 4-year university. And sometimes we ignore what...
There it is, finding out what a student actually cares about and giving them a usable skill. It is common sense, but to a Washington insider, giving up control over what children learn is terrifying. They desperately want to keep the system broken. Listen very closely to how hard they push back on this idea.
Which makes sense. I mean, middle school, that's maybe debatable, but elementary school? Should there just be a focus on basic critical thinking, and perhaps some of the specific training and the path should be later in a child's school?
Read those words again. The sheer panic over elementary kids learning about a trade. But Linda McMahon is not backing down, and neither is Donald Trump, because they are not just talking about changing the curriculum. They are dismantling the entire system. According to Al Jazeera, Trump took a massive step back in March to burn the whole thing down. Tell me I am wrong in the comments, but this is exactly why we elected him.
There was more pomp for the signing of this executive order than usual, reflecting how important a goal it's been for U.S. conservatives to close the Department of Education, going back to Ronald Reagan.
No president ever got around to doing it, but I'm getting around to doing it.
But in fact, the president does not have the authority to close down this or any other cap.
They are actually doing it. Trump signed an executive order to eliminate the Federal Department of Education completely. Since then, they have been transferring the workload to 4 other agencies like Labor and Health. McMahon says this will finally free schools from federal micromanagement, and she made it crystal clear to CNN exactly who should be in charge now.
Everything is, you can't direct it from Washington, D.C. How does each school work? What are the needs of that community? How are parents interacting, with teachers? And I think that is so critical as to what community needs, and that's why we really want to return education to the states.
One last thing I do want to ask you about